And welcome to the VSA Capital 5-minute morning miner on October the 19th. It's Wednesday, it's halfway through the week, and actually let's just remind him it's my brother's birthday. I must send him a birthday well wishes. Morning, Ollie, how are you?
Yeah, very good, thanks. How are you doing?
Well, we're still plugging along with this crazy world, aren't we? Inflation numbers this morning coming in at 10.1%, but of course that's historic. It will stay high probably until about sort of March, April, just because they're comparatives to a year ago. But what we have seen so far this week is we've seen gas prices in the UK plunging back down to levels, to be honest with you, back to where we were this time last year. So we're going to go from inflation to deflation. We've also got Brent pretty weak. Yesterday it was below $90. Today it's at $90.28. We've seen freight prices obviously collapsing recently. As the world grinds to a stop, no surprise, demand is falling off and everything's coming whizzing back down. And as I've been saying to people, Ollie, crisis? What crisis? You're a bit young, you might not remember that album, but it was, of course, Supertramp's fourth album, released in 1975.
Yeah, a little before me. It is quite a warm October, though, so that's been key for the lower gas prices. That's enabled storage to fill up a bit, but I don't think storage can't provide enough for a whole winter if we get some cold spells later on in the year or early into next.
Well, the answer is, Ollie, get yourself an hoodie. That'll keep you nice and warm at home. You won't need to put the heating on. Anyway, come on, let's move to mining. What are we? Probably Antofagasta had some production updates today, didn't they?
Yeah, there's a few up from the big guys. There's also some guidance from G Silver, and there's some M&A activity with Shanta Gold. But we start with Antofagasta. They had Q3 production numbers, which show some pretty big swings that you don't normally see, although I think largely expected. The stock is off slightly this morning, but I think the recovery of 40% Q on Q had broadly been guided as the 640 to 660 range is still intact for the full year. But yeah, production of 182,000 tons, jumping up 40% Q on Q, and that's because water availability became less of an issue again, so they've been able to run more ore through the process plant. Higher production meant a fall in unit costs by about 30 cents, down to 2.22 per pound, but year to date they're still up 30% year on year to 2.27 per pound, so still relatively low in the global scheme of things, but that's a significant jump year on year, and that's probably the bit that the market doesn't like so much this morning, rather than the production being in line.
Yeah, I agree with that, and they are, as you say. I mean, they're off a little bit this morning. Not that much. They're off 1% or so, just over 1%. BHP also actually gave some production update in Australia overnight, and actually theirs was quite good, but they did warn about the future with the global economy. But let's move. Go on. Yeah, sorry, Ollie.
Well, they weren't quite as expansive as Rio yesterday, but their copper production was down quite significantly by 11% Q on Q to 410,000 tons. So that, combined with the fact that Codelco lowered guidance for the full year a couple of months ago, there's some big volatility in copper supply at the moment. So that's definitely going to be impacting the supply demand balance, even with demand falling, as we're talking at the start.
Yeah. But let's move on. As you say, a bit of corporate activity. Everybody seems to be bidding for Shanta.
Yeah, Shandong, Yintai, and Cherat. Be quite a change for Chirato have mostly been Central Asia focused, but Shandong have made bids for African projects before. I don't know Yintai that well, but you know, at 140 odd $million market cap, and consensus earnings for the full year about $30 million. Shanda's trading on about 5 times EBITDA at the moment, so not cheap, but not hugely expensive. But you know, there is a shortage of advanced, good quality assets of decent size that would enable gold companies certainly to make a substantial change to their production.
Yeah, I think the bit that interests me there is you've got the Chinese coming to bid for there. You've got the Chinese coming in to bid for Danakil. You've also got the Chinese, we know, sniffing around quite a few lithium projects. Suddenly it would appear that the Chinese are back in trying to acquire assets. Not surprising, some of these assets are looking very cheap, but just worth pointing out that the Chinese seem to be coming back. But one that certainly doesn't need Chinese help, Ollie, you mentioned there, is Guanajuato Silver, our favourite.
Yeah, so a very positive announcement yesterday, and we saw a bit of the start of this last week, but it's now been announced. So they've restarted production at the Valenciana complex, which is right next to Guanajuato town. So that means they've now got 4 operating mines and 2 processing plants, one in Guanajuato, one up in Durango. So this restart of production means they'll be putting about sort of 5,000 tons a month through the El Cubo mill, which is already in operation. But in order to go to the next level, they will have to get the Cata mill going, which is attached to the Valenciana complex, but it's only a short 30-minute drive, so pretty easy to haul ore across. But to get up to the production rates they want to, they will need to bring that on. So they're bringing that forward into the end of the year, and so Q4 guidance is now 760 to 985 thousand silver equivalent ounces in Q4, and then rising to 910 to 1150 thousand silver equivalent ounces in Q1 2023. So that's with the benefit of the Cata mill expanding that processing capacity, and which is about an extra 30,000 tons a month. They won't be using all of that to start with, but that's how they get into that annualized run rate of 3.4 million silver equivalent ounces as a run rate for the end of this year, which is a huge change from the sort of around the million level that they were talking about before this acquisition. So it is transformational. It gives them so much, flexibility and diversification across their asset base now.
We're going to be talking a lot more about Guanajuato Silver, and they are coming across at the end of November to be part of the Aquis Showcase event, which is going to be a tremendous event. We now got all 4 head judges lined up for the Britain's Got Aquis competition: Andy Brough, Rich Rickey, Jim Armitage from the Sunday Times, and Judith McKenzie from Downing. We will be having other special guests such as James Wood from Winterfloods talking about the dark arts of market making. It'll be a day you cannot afford to miss. 20 growth companies, quite a few mining companies. If you haven't signed up yet, do sign up. And I think that's enough, Ollie. That was good advertisement by me, wasn't it?
Excellent.
All right, thanks.